Welcome to The Girl Herd,
where we talk Texas football.
and a bunch of takes you've probably already heard.
But not from us. All right, we're back. Happy holidays, everyone. Here we
will
are.
be singing to you today.
Yeah. It's in the mode of singing. We're in the holiday spirit. Our rifles, darn, all lost. And we got some coaching changes that are exciting.
Yeah, Christmas came early. We had the best weekend ever. All the trolling makes me so happy too. It's like flooding my timeline and it just cracks me up. And all they can still say is like, y'all lost to Florida. I'm like,
that's all anyone says. I got like riled up when we were out watching.
I'm like, what does that say about you? Because we beat you.
Yeah. The only thing they can say about our season.
So I think that both A&M and OU, I think they like miscalculated their troll efforts.
Yeah.
Big time.
I think like it's fine to troll, but you need to like know how to troll. And I fear they like, it's so funny because they're so amateur. Like they haven't been in the position and you could tell we're so good at it. Like, first of all, UT education. We're very sophisticated already, just naturally. But then like we've been here so many times. And so we have experience, but they don't have experience. And so that just like blew up in their faces because like boys going home with the same amount of playoff wins as us this year. Actually, we're going home with more if you count 1-1-2025, which people were pointing out online, and it was funny.
It was very funny. And it just cracked me up too in the A&M game, how many times they play Mbamba. And I just kept envisioning from our game, like Mbamba actually went here. It just is hilarious. And people like the students throwing down the horns. I'm like, you aren't even playing us in like, where does that get you? Because you lost on your home field. You lost.
You know it's really easy to throw down? The U is like easier to throw down than even a horn. So like maybe you do the team that you're playing, but yeah, I mean, I had slept great that weekend. OU, bye. Then the next day, same for A&M. It was wonderful.
And it's right to A&M.
But like us watching the Bama OU game, and we were with a couple of people that went to OU, and I just remember like when they lost that lead, I remember just kind of looking over and I had it in my head and he goes, Choklahoma, I know. And I was like, yeah, you said it. Like I didn't even have to say it out loud. I mean, it was the definition of Choklahoma. Like what just happened to y'all? Y'all literally fell apart. I thought they had it.
Same.
Nope.
They started out good.
Yeah. And then A&M was just like the icing on the cake. I really didn't know what was going to happen. The first part of that game was so boring. And then that happened. And I joked because I was like, Aggie's silent, completely silent. And then the next day they were like, we're a volleyball school. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. So you see all the people, again, smart trolling by Texas people who are all underneath A&M's comments, which I mean, I'm happy for A&M volleyball. They dominated, but like the A&M people are not writing back to anybody who are like, oh, all of a sudden you made fun of us for like cheering on our school. But I think that's the difference between like Texas and just like people who bleed burnt orange. Like, I mean, and maybe it is the result of just our athletic program being so good across the board. You got swimming and diving, you've got softball, you've got women's basketball, you've got women's volleyball who's been dominating for a long time. We follow those teams genuinely. There was a podcaster person who like put it out. She's Aggie. She put it out. Congrats, Aggie volleyball. And it was just so obvious that honestly, like the three of us here have watched more Aggie volleyball than that girl. And people go underneath. And it was like, wow, man. So it's just different.
Well, that's what was funny. Like I was with some Aggies too, and I was like, said something about volleyball. And the other person asked the person that was an Aggie, was like, did you know your volleyball team? And she was like, no. I was like, what? They were like, you have to return your ring, like messing with her about it. And I was like, And I'm actually rooting for you guys. Like, y'all look really good, by the way. And so I messaged her the next day. I was like, volleyball time. Oh, y'all won. Like, FYI.
So, I know. I was texting one of my friends that's an Aggie, and I was like, the one thing that I will support you all in is your women's volleyball team because they freaking are electric. It is so fun to watch them and their coach, Jamie, right? His first name.
Love him.
I love him. Love watching him on the sideline. He can transition the vibe of that team and he just like radiates to them. And you can tell how much they are bought into that program and what he's doing, which is so, so special. I love everything about women's volleyball right now and like how it's booming and blossoming.
Same. And the difference is, Aggies, we can cheer for you guys.
Yeah.
And you looked great. And we love it.
So good. Yes. Here for it.
Yeah, I think we decided that like the generic rules, there's a few, but one of them are like we can share the wealth with volleyball because our volleyball team has just been there so many times. So we're like, it's their first one. Let them have it. You know, we also split the season with them. So I think that's probably why we felt more strongly about them winning. And Kentucky, our team didn't beat them this year. So
I mean, yeah, I literally found myself like when something would start going Kentucky's way, I was like, no, come on, A&M.
But I feel like you could tell from pretty early on, like A&M just came out with a different energy, right? And Kentucky could not match it. Like they shut down their dual threat, like big, like it was nothing. Just got into their heads. It was great. Loved it.
It was cool to see. And now
we can get in somebody else's heads. I'm kidding.
Yeah. And now our rivals will sit on the couch and watch us. Darn.
Love it.
I know.
Next up, playing the good old Wolverines.
Yeah.
Little distraught and disheveled Wolverines, but
yeah. Hey, there's a lot happening with us as well. Like everyone's like, who's exactly coaching? We still don't know who's playing. Like, and of course, Michigan has had the same situations, right? You're starting to see them enter and changes making as well. So
I know. I think I saw something that we have 65 players that are traveling, which is crazy. It's more like an NFL team than what we're used to on a normal basis. So intrigued to see how that is because we like to sub in and out and how many fresh bodies that we're going to have. We're already very young right now. So interested to see how that impacts us in this bowl game.
Yeah, I think, I mean, of course, it's all going to be determined by how many people play as well, how many we actually have. But I've, still said I'm excited to see players step up and what will happen in that bowl game and how it shifts too. But I honestly don't think we're going to know until our pod maybe next week who's actually going to go and what's going to happen on both sides of the teams.
I know the game is like still so far away.
Yeah.
So much so that like people aren't really talking about it too much. And it feels so quiet. I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit last week. Like it feels so quiet on the Michigan side, even considering all the craziness. It's like, well, what is going to happen? But I think that as much as people have talked about like these bowl games and it not being the playoff, like the meaningfulness or lack thereof, I think I'm excited for the game because truly it feels so unpredictable at this point. Like I'm personally excited to see different people get in that I haven't seen play all year on our side of the ball. And we have players leaving, going to NFL, like that's still being announced. Malik Muhammad announced today, actually. And so, I mean, it's just, it's continuing to form, like you said, Michelle. So I think every single day I'm opening up Twitter to be like, okay, what's happening with the team? Where are we at? Because I can't really personally get a good feel on it right now.
Yeah, it doesn't sleep. And there's nothing like two teams that kind of have their back up against the wall, what they're going to come out to the field and do. Like it's really unpredictable. So I feel like anybody's guess is as good as anyone else's at this point.
I feel ultimately like, yeah, like speaking to things changing. I mean, my mom this morning was like, did you know DeAndre Moore enter? And I was like, well, there was lots of talk that he probably wouldn't return regardless. So, but I feel like in a way, I'm looking at this as like, I'm just excited for all the practices we get now. And then the game is kind of almost a practice, right? Like, yes, it matters. Obviously, I've said I want us to win and all the things that are going to go into play at that game. But ultimately, it's another game. It's another practice. It's another facility that we get to play in, another environment, if you will, like against a team. And I mean, we have Ohio State next year. So Big Ten has rivalries as well. But so we'll see. I think there's still a lot that can happen up until that game, but ultimately I'm most excited for these reps that we're getting in, and then that being an extra one before next season. And that football still keeps to get going.
Yeah, it is. A lot of these kids haven't played in a full game and got those reps, like you said. And we talked about this last year too, of how short it is. Like, we expect them to come out and be this full embodied team, and they've just met each other like how many weeks ago. So this is exciting that we're getting a preview into next year as kind of like a pre-season game, if you will, with all the new people. And then whoever we're going to get in the transfer portal, like, does this show us really some of the big gaps that we need to fill, or really entice some of those big names like to come to Texas and want to make a stamp on our program?
Which is also why I'm excited that the coaching changes are happening now, right? Like, these players are getting to meet them and see them before they go off on their little holiday and break and whatnot. And it also, of course, should behoove us in transfer portals the opposite direction. So
Yeah, that's what Sark said about why he had to make the coaching changes when he did. Like, that was the exact reason. And it's crazy because there's already been so many things happening regarding the new coaches and offers going out. I got to see actually the running back for DeSoto. We offered him, and he played at State this past weekend. And so, I mean, and he mentioned, he's like, wow, like, the coach just started at Texas, and he like hit me up days later, and like the impact of all of that. So, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I think we were sad about not making playoffs, and I know we still are, but the other side of that is just our postseason looks so different, and we needed this in so many different ways. Like, the portal's going to open and we won't be playing. And so that's just such a different look and feel. And clearly we missed the mark with the portal last year. And it's like, there's no surprise as to why. Like, some of that was just sheer, like, we couldn't, because we were focused in different areas and our season was so long.
Yeah, I'm also interested. I feel like I saw, and correct me if I saw this wrong, but that Coach Jaluk will be coaching, but Coach Muschamp will be observing, which I'm like, knowing I feel like Coach Muschamp and who he is as a human, I'm like, how much is he really just observing? I feel like he's so hands-on and wants to just like inject himself immediately, and has a history with Texas. When all of us were there, we've seen what he can do. And the dogs, Mish, you said that too, like the dogs that he brings and raises in this defensive scheme that he has. So I'm interested to see, right? And I'm sure these young kids also want to make an impact and like show him like what they can do and that they can fit in this new defensive scheme that he's going to bring.
Yeah, I saw, well, that's why I was like, to be determined, because I saw that too, but then I also saw people saying not sure about Muschamp. So unclear. I don't know. Maybe no one knows. I don't know. Maybe you do know. Maybe it is confirmed.
Inside information.
But no, I think we'll see. And yes, agreed, like what changes will happen and what will be made and how that plays into everything. But, we have all of these other teams that have already played, and then what happened, of course, in the playoffs. And agree with you, Devin, like I had to sit back and be like, it was very nice sitting and watching these games and not really like caring, but not caring, just watching some football. And then seeing the changes that we were making and knowing that we were making headway already on the off season and what we need to do. Like, I can appreciate that and can totally see that side, which is why every time we talked about the playoffs, we were like, we can see both sides. We see the pros and cons, and they fulfilled the pro of not playing in the playoffs and what that can mean going forward, and the changes that we already saw that we needed, and they are skipping no beats doing that, and I'm here for it. But I still, even this weekend, was like, but man, it would have been nice to play in these games, because there were some games that I was like, this isn't even fun to watch, but it's okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of people A lot of people felt that way, and the timeline was crazy. I think we should definitely get into the Muschamp conversation. We've mentioned him a lot, but just so curious because I think it rocked Longhorn Nation. I don't think there's a single Longhorn. If you're out there saying you knew that was going to happen, you're lying. None of us knew that was going to happen, and it was just all over the board. Like people had all sorts of thoughts. People were like hyped because they remember him. People were like question mark, confused, which I think makes a lot of sense. So I mean, yeah, let's dig in. Like, what are the thoughts around the move? I know Sark mentioned a lot, and people actually asked him as well regarding the offense, and he sort of responded saying like he did make changes on the offensive side of the ball with 2 coaches, and we know that. So, yeah, what are we thinking about this move and the future regarding PK out and Muschamp in?
I honestly, with Muschamp in, I am excited to have Muschamp, right? Like I think some people, he was available, and yes, none of us knew, right? Like what Sark said in his press conference that a lot of his time was going to helping call on the defense, which news to a lot of people, I think. I do think Muschamp will be great for the defensive side of the ball, but do I think that just changing the running backs coach is the only fix that we need on offense? No. From all of our conversations across the year, our bad, like blind spot was our offensive line, right? And I understand that Kyle Flood and Coach Sark have been together for so long, that is his right hand man. But at the same time, as a head coach in a program like Texas, you also have to understand and see your blind spots. And that to me is potentially one of his, because our offensive line needs help. And for him to be as blind coming in last year of not really going into the portal, not getting the bodies that we needed, was a huge kind of red flag for me. So I know that they're already positioning and already talking, but curious to see, like, is this still going to remain an issue next year for our offensive line? And if so, then what is Sark's answer going to be?
Yeah, we of course talked a little bit about it on chat and whatnot, but like for me, I like, no, did I see this coming? Did I know that this was going to happen? No, I would be lying if I said that. But when I saw the news, I was like, wow, like the way it was worded, everything. And this is no, and I know that all of us feel this way. We all loved PK. We all loved what he did. But this, like seeing the news that he was leaving and Muschamp was coming in, more so Muschamp coming in, I got excited. I was like, okay, I'm not like, I wasn't of the complete shock, because I think in my mind, it's, we have to throw everything at this. And we have talked several times on this pod throughout this year, and there's been lots of talk out there that like there were gaps in our coverage on our defense, and there were things that weren't happening and we didn't see them like get in, faces as much as we wanted, or, our passing defense wasn't as good. Like our secondary sometimes had holes, and we know that there's really good players. So we were like, what is happening? Like, why are we missing these ops and coverages and whatever, whatnot. And so that's why like my side of it was just more so of like, okay, like you are upping your game here, and there's a reason why you're doing this. That's not to say that like, yeah, if we go into next year and there's still gaps on the offense, people aren't going to have questions. Of course they are. Like they're going to come for us no matter what. And fans are going to be, feel how they're going to feel if we still haven't fixed those things. But I will say that I saw some shifts on offense throughout this year that were positive. And so I guess like my side is I have to hope that like that's going to continue. And in my mind, like they know that we have gaps, and they know that the offensive line, and they know what bodies we need to fill. And I guess we'll just see in the transfer portal how that ends up happening. But yeah, and who's to say that they're done with the coaching changes? So I don't know.
Secondary wise, we had a lot of injuries. So I know things are being missed, but like we didn't have a lot of consistency at the position. They did let go of Akina too. So who knows, between him, PK, the injuries, maybe it just wasn't all clicking in how they wanted. My thoughts on this are just like completely different. And I think that Sark revealed it himself because he called out CJ Vogel about it. He reads the stuff, the players read the stuff. And Texas football in general, college football, seems to be the sport where it's a crowd convo. It's a fan convo more than any other sport. So Sark mentioned these things. And I think the reason why everyone feels the way they feel is because, like, no one called for this. We've been talking about him with the offense, but nobody said anything about PK. And so he did this decision on his own. And I think all of us are like, well, wait, we didn't say anything. Like, and so I think that's really why it feels a little strange, but I like it because really we always say, like, do bold things, like jump out there. And that's what he's doing. And so, I mean, we all know Muschamp well, like that part's a given. We're super excited about it. But I think the shock factor and why everyone was confused was because, like, nobody had a real issue with the defense. Yes, the defense did have times where things were not working out well. And I think there's a real argument to be made as to why. And I think some of that might have to do with our offense not sustaining drives, because we talked about that too. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Happy he's back. And I mean, I hope that this is an incredible run, his second go around.
Yeah, I also heard something that I thought was really interesting, or an interesting take of PK's scheme. And he wants to dare a team to go 10 drives down the field, and then we will stop you in the red zone. And I think there were a lot more explosive plays that were allowed this year than what Sark is probably comfortable with. And that probably is part of the change as well, because I mean, you can't deny, right? Like, we do really well in the red zone and stopping people close to the goal line. But I also get to, in the SEC, and now with how important wins are and points you're putting up, all of those things matter now. So do we really want to risk that way of thinking, right? I think Sark probably wants to blitz more and have more pressure and all of these other things that Coach Muschamp can bring.
Yes, to what you're saying, Angie, but it's actually the opposite. Like, on the explosive play part, like with Muschamp, we might have to give some of that up because we're going to be doing the blitzing that you're mentioning. We're going to be aggressive, and PK allowed a little bit less of that. But like you said, would let you get down there and we would lock up at the end. And so it's a different look and feel. It's more chaotic, and hopefully, like you said, just brings us a little bit more juice than we had with our other defenses.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, also some of that and like what PK would allow would mean then the defense was on the field more, which is also kind of what we were saying too of what would happen. And then of course getting them down to the line is then, you know, injuries, all that kind of stuff that plays a role in everything else that happened this season. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, there's different ways you can dice it, of course, and different views that I've like heard and takes that agreed as well. But I ultimately think, yeah, they're just, and like, you know, we love Blake Gideon. We've talked about him. We joked about him, you know, earlier this year being like, would he come back? Like, because we saw some of these things happening. And of course, now they're talking about it with Muschamp. And I mean, we'll see what ends up happening. There's lots of talk that maybe that's not going to happen anymore. But I found it funny of like the conversation coming back up because, of course, we were there when he was there and we were a part of his like recruiting trail coming into Texas. So like, should we run it back, Blake? Come on. But
Blake's wife would probably murder him. They just had their third baby. She'd be like, do not dare move me again.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to move. He's like, he's a big DC now. So it would need to be a greater role for him, which is, I mean, amazing. Good problems to have.
Yeah, good problems to have indeed.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what other news comes out in the next week by the time we're back again.
Never know. I feel like it never sleeps at this point. So
I know.
We're recording this on Monday. If something changes by Tuesday, don't come for us.
Yeah. No kidding. But we love it. Love the changes. And speaking of recording this on Mondays and coming out on Tuesdays, we won't see you guys until next week. So happy holidays and have fun.
Yay. Happy holidays.